Hey everyone, James Kerr here, and today we're going to be looking at the tune Jerusalem Ridge by Bill Monroe and Kenny Baker, one of the classic bluegrass instrumental tunes. Really tried to stay true to the Kenny Baker version in my arrangement here for Dobro. Really trying to capture some of the details of the way that Kenny played this tune, which was definitely unique, and his use of F sharp in particular, it gives a much more modal type of sound to the way he played this tune than I hear on most subsequent versions. And then some of the phrasing and timing details of the way he played, tried to study and capture in this arrangement for Dobro. So this is really going off that Kenny Baker and Bill Monroe original version, and I thought it would be a great lesson and study to see if we could get that on the Dobro. And to do that, really I used a combination of melodic approach and more standard hammer-ons and pull-offs. So in that A section, I did try to incorporate some of the melodic style approach that we'll talk about to get it a little more fluid when we try to speed it up. It's a fast tune, but don't feel that you have to get this one up to the tempo of the original version, up to about 120 beats per minute. You can play this one and study it at a much more moderate tempo. It'll probably be played in more medium tempos. You know, when you play it with your friends or play it at a jam. It's probably going to be at a more moderate tempo. So I think it'll be doable if you bring the tempo down and make it a long-term study, right? It's definitely one of the great tunes. We'll be around this tune all our lives, so let's jump in and try to learn it on Dobro. It can be done, and bring the tempo down and just make it a long-term study, but do pay particular attention to the form, the timing, and the rhythm. Is really the most important aspects of this tune to capture. And so if you want to delve further into this tune, I am available for Zoom lessons as well. So you can get in touch with me on my website or in the comment section below. If you want to get some Zoom lessons going as well. I am making my version of this tune, my arrangement of Jerusalem Ridge, available for free, the tab, in the description section below. You can download and check out the tab, which I think will be very useful there. And I ask if you do make use of the tab and you're getting something out of this video, do subscribe, hit the subscribe button below to help me get this Dobro and guitar channel started off the ground here. I hope to do lots more of these Dobro lessons in the future. So if you're getting something out of this, do hit the subscribe button. And let's go ahead and jump in on Jerusalem Ridge.
Okay, so what do I mean by the Dorian mode when I'm talking about Jerusalem Ridge and Kenny Baker's version? So Dorian is a minor scale that has a raised sixth in it. So this would be an A Dorian scale. So it's a minor scale, but that's that really distinctive note in the Dorian that gives it that flavor. Is the sixth is raised, so that's Dorian. And then listen to this one. This is a natural minor scale, so this would be a natural minor scale. Notice that one has an F natural in it. So in Kenny Baker's version of Jerusalem Ridge, we're hearing that F sharp in the melody a lot. He doesn't play F natural. So that's what I'm talking about with the Dorian scale. So it's not that you have to know the theory behind it necessarily. It's just you want to be able to recognize that sound when you hear it. And when you hear that raised sixth in a minor, it really says Dorian, right? That's that Dorian tonality. So anyway, Kenny Baker is clearly playing an F sharp in there, which as I mentioned, I don't hear in most other versions of subsequently of this tune. I played this tune for years myself and played F natural. So that's the F natural. That's what we hear most of the time on this tune these days. But if we listen back to that original Kenny Baker version, he's playing. We hear that F sharp, which is less familiar to our ears, I think. But it is an interesting, nice twist to this tune. If you can get that in there, I think it. So as I mentioned, I tried to stay really true to the Kenny Baker original version of this tune and this arrangement. So that's what I'm talking about with the Dorian when I mentioned that. And in this key, that means an F sharp instead of an F natural, a raised sixth in there. So listen for that as we go through it. The form on this tune, Jerusalem Ridge, is kind of notoriously tricky because it's an extended form. There's 4 different sections, and there's a couple spots where there's only 2 beats in a measure. So timing-wise and form-wise, it's a tricky tune. So you need to spend a lot of time just getting familiar with the form of the tune so you can keep your place, really have that melody in your head as you're playing through the chords. So the form, when I break it down here, is A. So there's an A section, which is 8 bars, pretty standard there. And then that repeats. So nothing unusual there with the A section. A. B section as well, 8 bars, and that repeats, so nothing unusual there. A, and then what I'm calling a C section is this mini, only 4 bar section. And there's these 2 beats that connects the 2 sections. So as you'll see my chart there's this measure of 2/4 before you get to that C section. So that's notoriously tricky. You really got to just count to 2, 1, da da da. That we'll get to, and then the C section is only 4 bars long. So it's a short little mini section in there that repeats 4 bars, and then there's a D section which repeats, and the D section is unusual as well. It's 13 bars long. If we count that an extra, if you're counting that with a bar of 2/4 in there. So if you're losing your place on this form and getting off, there's a good reason for that. It's such an unusual form and kind of quirky numbers of measures and stuff like that. So one of the things that makes this tune so unique and so cool, I think, is this kind of quirky, unusual form. But as you're learning this tune, you really got to spend at least as much time on the form and the timing as you do on actually just learning the notes. So rhythm, super important as in any bluegrass tune. The timing, absolutely critical. But that's the form of this tune. At least when I'm breaking it down here, it's A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and then back to the top. All right, and there's a couple spots in there where there's only 2 beats in a measure. And I'm writing this out as if it's in 4/4. I like to write out bluegrass in 4/4, and then call it with the bass playing a 2-beat feel. So if we look at that first section really slowly, so here's on the A section is where I mix in some of this melodic style, and that's playing this scale-wise phrase, but using open strings in a higher position. So that's 2 on the 6th, O on the 5th, and then we're shifting up to 5th position 5, and then an O on the 4th, and then that 5 on the 5th string. So really what defines that melodic style when we talk about that in bluegrass and melodic banjo is using higher positions and open strings. So it allows you to do with the right hand, you can play as if you're playing a roll or an arpeggio across the strings, which is what the right hand can do very well and fast with the finger picks. But you're actually playing something scale-wise. And that's what we mean by melodic when we use that term in melodic banjo. And if we're taking that approach on the dobro, so I could play this A section down here in first position, and that's totally fine as well. But I found this is a fast tune eventually. So if you are striving to get it up to that fast tempo, I found using the melodic here is a nice place to really make that a little bit smoother when I speed it up. Just taking advantage of the open strings, and as I say, taking advantage of crossing the strings in an arpeggio type style with the right hand, just allowed me, I found, to make that a little more fluid at that if I'm trying to play it up to tempo. So you can learn it both ways, but let's try this melodic approach on the A section here. So again, slowly. And listen for that F sharp in there. Let's do it slowly up to the F sharp here, first phrase. So did you hear the F sharp in there? That's where I'm grabbing it on the fourth string, fourth fret. That's the F sharp. As opposed to, which I hear in most all guitar versions, is an F natural, but see if you can grab that 4 on the fourth string for an F sharp. And then another thing, I love the way Kenny does this as well. Instead of just going back down the scale. O on the fourth, 5 on the sixth. And then another thing that really defines this melodic style is the right hand is super important. And with the right hand, basically setting up is on the thumb on the sixth string, index on the fifth, and middle finger on the fourth string, and just having those down, actually planting them on the strings. And then that's my basic setup for this A section phrase. But do plant them on the string so they're actually down, touching the strings like you're about to play a chord, and then you only move that finger when the note occurs on that string. And then my thumb comes down to the fifth string. So the thumb is kind of the free roamer that can traverse really anywhere. But as you set up your position for melodic, really it's super important what the right hand fingering is. So I actually wrote that in the sections that are melodic in my arrangement there in the tab. You can see thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, thumb, middle. So really take note of the right hand fingering. It's not just about playing the right notes with the left hand. If you're going to get this fluid with this melodic style, you got to really work out the right hand fingering. And then in the second phrase, the thumb jumps up to the root here. So let's take a look at that. If we take that slowly. So now I'm going up to the A on the third string, second fret. And my thumb plays that. And then it's just like the first phrase again. Identical. And then up to the root again. 5, 2. So let's play that whole A section as it's it, but I do urge you to use the thumb on that root on the second fret on the third string for the A. My thumb will come down to that, which just makes it a little stronger to hit that, accent that with the thumb rather than to try to grab that with the fingers. So let's try it as if we're in 50 beats per minute here. 1, 2, the whole A section. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then I would urge you to sing this out loud. I'm a big believer in singing. Use your voice to vocalize that. So, especially if that F sharp is new for you, to really get that in your ears. Even if you're not a singer, just hum along, sing along as best you can. The point is just to hear the notes to demonstrate that you're actually hearing what you're playing every phrase. So sing every phrase that you're learning is really going to help you internalize the rhythm, internalize that melody. So it's not just about moving our fingers around, moving the bar around. We're trying to connect our instrument to our voice, singing along, especially on this tricky tune where you really got to get that melody in your head. So sing along with it. And then let's look at the B section now. So B section starting, if we take that slowly, the B section is going to start with a hammer on the 4th string 2nd fret. So in my arrangement here, I really combine both a melodic approach on that A section with a more standard hammer on and pull off down here in 1st position for the B section and stuff. So I find that's a really effective way to play this tune, is combining melodic approach on certain things with standard hammers and pulls down here in 1st position, which is what I do really throughout the whole B section here. So start with a hammer. Let's do that at half speed. Ninth fret, which is basically like a straight bar E chord. So as you come up to that 9, and then I pick a double stop 5th string and 3rd string, which I like the sound of that. But you're basically going from 1st position on the 2nd fret. Basically, you're setting up to your familiar E chord on the 9th fret. But do make sure you get this. He starts it with a hammer. I'm really trying to match Kenny's phrasing on here as much as I can with the slurs, using hammer-ons and pull-offs and some slides to match his timing there, match his phrasing. And then as I do pretty much all these hammers and pulls in this section, or most all of these notes in general on this section, notice I'm angling the bar forward. I'm not playing this with a straight bar, with a flat bar. So pretty much angling the bars forward so that I'm only on the string that I want to play. And then another detail here is that these A's, when we speed it up, should be short and staccato. If we do it up to 50, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not all ringing the whole time. Make them short. So that's probably the most straightforward section. The B section would be the easiest to play. Just again, sing it, boo, and make sure you're really clear on the timing and the rhythm. But I did make a great effort to write out rhythmic notation in my tab there. So I would definitely urge you to, even if you're not reading standard notation on Dobro, although I am a believer in learning to read music on the Dobro, just like other instruments, just like on guitar and other styles of music. But even if you're not reading standard notation on Dobro, I would urge you to try to learn to read, become familiar with reading rhythmic notation. So I wrote out the tab notice with the rhythms in there, indicating when it's eighths, when it's quarters, when it's halves, etc. And just seeing the rhythms on the page there will definitely improve your musicianship, improve your ability to play it, the timing on the tune. You can speak the rhythm is another thing I really like to do. But notice the rhythmic notation. I would say that's a much more doable goal for us to learn, just to become fluent in reading rhythmic notation than to learn to read music completely. That would be a much longer endeavor. But to learn and become familiar with rhythmic notation, first of all, it will also just really speed up your ability to learn things by tab. If we go back to the Scruggs banjo book and stuff, they wrote that book out with the rhythms in there clearly marked. So when I see that on the page, I can hear the rhythms in my head. It's going to make it much faster to learn it, rather than just trying to chip away one random number at a time without any. So if you're just looking at a sea of numbers in the tab, you're really missing the most important ingredient, is the timing and the rhythm in there. So learn to count and speak those rhythms. But that was the B section. And then as we go into this C section, this is the notoriously tricky spot where there's this measure of 2/4. Notice in there's a measure of 2/4 as this little transitional measure. So that can cause problems. Just make sure it's 2 beats before that little C section starts. So if we're coming out of the B section, one, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So getting into that one, ba-da-dum, again, coming out of it. 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. And that's pretty much exactly the way Kenny plays it. Notice again, there's an F sharp in there. So note-wise, he's playing an F sharp, which I'm grabbing with a slide back, which I think works pretty well. If you do a straight bar on 7, and then sliding back to 5, it's kind of a way to capture his phrasing there, the little ornament he plays. So some of it is just the little details that he plays phrasing-wise, ornaments, slurs, and things, which makes his rendition so great, so kind of expressive of this tune But it is again an F sharp in there. So this C section again really speaks that Dorian mode. And then another F sharp there. I'm grabbing on the 4 on the first string. 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 2, 3. And these are pull-offs. 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, triple it, 2. And this last one, notice, is a triplet, which is easy to do on the dobro with a hammer and a pull. On the second string, 0, 1, 0. So if we just try to speak the rhythm now, just purely timing-wise, with that transitional measure. If we try to speak it at 50 beats per minute here. coming into the C section. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, ta ta ta, ta ta ta, ta ta ta, ta 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 ta, ta ta ta, ta ta. So speak it with me here. Try that. I'm a big believer. Speak any tricky rhythms. If you can't speak it, if you can't sing it, if it's not clear in your ears, it's certainly not going to come out of our hands, right? So the timing is so critical on here. If it's not super clear in your ears, it's going to be fumbled, right? When we go to actually play it. So speak it out loud here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Ta ta ta. Ta ta ta. Ta ta ta, triplet 1. Ta ta ta, ta ta ta, ta ta ta, ta 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 ta. Right? So get that rhythm super clear in your ears by speaking out loud. And then one time with the notes again, C section. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, triple it, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, triple it, 1, 2, 3. And then going into the D section, notice that he doesn't come in right on the downbeat of the C section like I hear. Most people just come in right on the, he anticipates it. So he's actually coming in on the 4 of the measure before. A 1, 2, 3. So let's do this. D section is definitely tricky. There's some higher position playing here. So let's do that one really slowly here. If we go to half that speed now with the click here is now a quarter note. 1, 2, 3. 1. To there, but let's go one phrase at a time here. So again, it comes in the 4 of the previous measure. So 1, 2, 3, 5. So 5 on the second string is how I'm playing that E, and then I'm going up to playing the A on the first string, 7th fret. 2, 3, 4, 1. And then an 8 here on the second string. 8. Up to 10. Notice these upbeats here on this section here. So let's we go to 50 beats per minute again and just speak the rhythm on this section. Again, timing-wise, tricky rhythms here. There's a lot of upbeats, ands in this section, dotted quarters if you look at the rhythms I wrote out here. Let's try to speak the C section at 50. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, ta 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 ta. All right, so I urge you to speak that rhythm again. As I mentioned, just get that really clear in your ears. Timing wise, really the timing is the key here. So if you can't speak that rhythm, you're not going to play it. But if that's super clear in your ears, that rhythm wise, then just a matter of filling in the notes. You're going to be much more accurate when you go to actually play it. So now with the notes, 1, 2, 3. And then when we go to the C chord, 5, 5, 7, 8. And then let's look at this. Is a lick here coming down from the 10-10 on the first string. Half speed. So bar wise, it's not hard. You're just going 10, 10, 5, 5, and then O on the first. A really nice phrase in C over the C chord there. And when it comes in on the and there, 1. 1. And then this one here is a little harder. So that's 10, 10, 9, 10. Let's try that again. So. Sorry. 10, 5, 5. And then you're safely back in. Back down to first position there. So there's definitely some shifting in there that you got to clean up, with the left and right hands. That's a phrase to definitely just focus on and rewind, back it up, and practice that one lick. Might be one of the trickier licks in the tune. And then let's look at this little tag at the end of the D section. 2, 3, triple it. 1, 2, 3. So if we're counting out this tag, I wrote it out really just part of the D section, but it's kind of a tag. So timing wise, again, what's tricky in here is there's a measure of 2/4, so it comes out a little crooked, a little uneven. The tag, if we're counting it, ta and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, so 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, triple it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So get that timing in your head. Speak that out loud. Here we go. Speak it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta 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 ta. And actually wrote that a little different on the tab there. Just put the 2/4 measure in a slightly different place. Really doesn't matter in terms of how it sounds. But I would actually put it there where I just counted it. 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play that whole D section now at 50 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. The D section there. So I urge my students to use their ears as much as possible. and try to use your ears, rewind the video, go phrase by phrase. But the tab is there to take advantage of. It's a tricky tune, so I think it will be definitely useful to refer to the tab. I did make a great effort to get it as accurate as I could to that Kenny Baker version and to make it rhythmically accurate. So I can't emphasize enough to really make sure that the rhythms are clear. It's really about the timing. Again, it's not that we have to play it exactly like Kenny Baker when we play this tune, but it is a bluegrass original tune, not just a traditional fiddle tune that's passed down for 100 years or something. It is a bluegrass it's original composition. So I think it's great to go back and study the original here. We can learn a lot from Kenny's phrasing. But use your ears. Try to get as much by ear as you can and by watching my hands, and then refer to the tab as need be. Speak those rhythms. And I didn't mention one detail on this before. We're going to play through the chords now, lastly, to make sure that you're clear on what to do with the chords. But when we get to the C section on the chords, it's D major. I hear most people playing D minor on there, but certainly on the Kenny Baker original version, Bill Monroe version, Bill Monroe is clearly playing a D major chord, which again really spells out that Dorian tonality where the F sharp is in the D major chord. So that's not an accident. It's not Bill Monroe didn't play a D major by accident because he doesn't know how to play a D minor. That was a clear calculated choice, D minor. But for some reason that's much less familiar to our ears. So certainly in all the guitar versions, Tony Rice version and others, it's a D minor. As opposed to D major. So listen for that. Bill Monroe is definitely playing a D major chord in there. So let's try to play through the chords now. If we bump it up to about 100, kind of a medium up tempo. But again, you don't have to play this tune at 120 beats per minute to get a lot out of it. So don't feel daunted by the tempo and the original version. I tried to play it at 120 there in the beginning of the tune, but it's likely going to be played more at a medium tempo. So gradually, this is a long-term project to work this tune up, but it's such a classic, it's worth the effort. So start now, trying to get it up to a medium tempo, but this would be kind of a medium up, 100 beats per minute. Let's try to play the chords now. So it's super important to be able to play the chords with good time on any tunes you're learning. So let's take about 100 beats per minute. Really important as you're playing the chords, you got to keep that melody in your head on this tune or you'll get lost. So try humming along with the melody, which may be tricky for you at first, but I'm going to try to do that, hum the melody so I'm really hearing the melody in my ears as I'm playing the chords with the chop, so I can keep the form straight. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. got to hear that melody in your ears while you're playing the chords. And then really quickly, a lot of A minor on this tune. How do we play an A minor on the dobro? And the short answer is that we don't. Really just playing a power chord. When we're doing a chop, especially without a full band, I could play, more of the A minor chord there, getting some of the notes actually in the chord with the minor third. But more often than not, just playing a power chord on a minor. So I'm just playing root, fifth, root. And then getting a thumb chop there. And an important trick for doing that, so we don't hear the major third in there, which we definitely don't want, is to mute the fifth string with your thumb. So all I want to hear is the power chord, which will take a little practice if you haven't done that before. That's a trick I learned from Rob Ikes for playing minor chords with the chop, is to mute the fifth string. Really, a great trick, so that so it's really all about just laying down a percussive chop. It's not about spelling out all the notes in the chords. So make sure you can play the chords, keep the rhythm in your ears. All right, so again, a lot to work on there, but it's such a classic tune. Begin chipping away at it. You don't have to play it at 120 beats per minute. Just work on gradually getting it up to a medium tempo, and years of study and enjoyment of studying and learning from this tune and playing it with your friends and eventually playing it at jams. So if you got something out of this, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, especially if you're downloading and using my tab I'm making available there for free. Do hit the subscribe button. So enjoy playing this one, and I will see you next time.